Tonight on Great Escapes, fighting the rapids. Out cold in the hot seat, adding fuel to the fire, and the horse in deep trouble. Hello. Fire and wind is a devastating combination, especially where bush and forest fires are concerned. We've all heard the expression spreading like wildfire. Well, our first Great Escape tonight shows how wild it can really be. A cameraman catches the blaze as it breaks out. Within seconds, gale-force winds turn it into a raging inferno. The town of Oakland Hills in California is really in the line of fire now. Flames leap sky high and thick smoke blankets the whole area. Residents run for their lives. Burning embers rain down everywhere. It's a terrifying scene.
My God, I've never seen anything like that!
Some put their homes before their lives. Others pick up what they can and go. High winds make the fire unstoppable. It destroys this huge apartment block, making 1,000 people homeless. In minutes, the whole block's just a burnt-out shell. Through the night, the blaze rages on, devouring mile after mile of town and country. Next morning, there's utter devastation. Heartbroken residents return to where their homes once stood, their lives in ruins. They're desperate to salvage anything they can.
I've got my plans that I made the original house. A couple, and my passport. Well, that's my internal revenue things. And I'm gonna, if I get in trouble, I'm gonna take them down and say, this is what happened to my safe. You rascals. Oh, wait, I had a checkbook.
In just one night, the folk of Oakland Hills have paid a terrible price for their Californian dream. It's a night nobody here will ever forget. A fire at an oil and gas storage depot is frightening enough. But when a fireman gets caught up in the flames, it's a situation that rapidly goes from bad to worse. A fuel transfer goes wrong in a big way, and flames soar hundreds of feet into the air. Fire crews are fighting a losing battle to bring it under control, as Clay Kennelly explains.
We've still been applying foam to this for about 4 hours and have just barely got it knocked down to what you see burning over here now. The other problem is all those pipelines that are above ground right there are live pipelines charged with various flammable compressed gases.
Clay goes back to help keep the pipes cool. Then his worst fears come true. He steps into some burning fuel. Clay's boots catch fire, followed by the parched grass. There's panic as the fire takes hold. Flames race along the fence line, catching everyone off guard. Clay's trapped in the path of the fire and in danger of being burned.
He's okay, he's not hurt. He's a little tired and he's hot right now, but he wasn't hurt.
How many guys have got burned? I don't know.
Now more pipelines are rupturing and they're desperately trying to get everybody out. an enormous stream of water is directed at the blaze. The flames are ferocious, the heat's so intense they can't get near. The exhausted fire crews must summon up all their energy to carry on.
We've got the butane that's burning now, isobutane. They're going to have to go a little bit more aggressive now, and it's going to take us a lot longer to get it done. We're going to need some more help now.
Considering the scale of the disaster, the final toll is amazingly low, just 3 minor injuries. In the end, a job well done. As for Clay, he was back on duty next day. His frantic fire dance just a painful memory. American firefighters call these the jaws of life, and certainly cutting gear like this has saved countless victims. Releasing people from the wreckage of a crash can be a slow and very difficult process. But in this next incident, there was a pressing need to get it done in double quick time. This monster 40-tonner has skidded out of control and landed on top of a passing car. Incredibly, the driver, Tim Bratcher, is still alive, though well and truly trapped.
I've never seen anything like this. I mean, that guy would still be alive after being run over like that?
A closer look reveals just how lucky he is.
This is the problem I have. His axle is through the windshield. The second set of duals is sitting on the car. Okay? His duals on that side are resting on the car. He's got the Bendix through the windshield sitting 6 inches from the victim.
Tim is conscious and talking to the rescuers. They must work carefully not to disturb anything before trying to get him out.
Right now we're working on getting the vehicle and the trailer stabilized so we can get the vehicle out from underneath the trailer to treat the patient.
We're ready to go, guys.
Emergency crews set to work chocking the wheels while paramedics do their best to make Tim comfortable. It's taken an hour to raise the truck, but at last they can drag the car free. Tim's lying in the driving seat, the crushed roof just a fraction of an inch from his face. His ordeal isn't over yet. There's a mass of twisted metal to get through before he can be released. And this is where the jaws of life come into their own. Half an hour later and Tim emerges completely unhurt, just happy to have the 40-ton weight off his shoulders. After a freak thunderstorm, 13-year-old Eddie Barnett is being swept down a flood control channel in New Mexico. Fireman Ken Tiller goes to his rescue, but ends up in there with him. Now both are heading for the rapids at breakneck speed. Rescuers run alongside, but are helpless to do anything. Ken's the first into the rapids. After 4 miles battling against the powerful current, young Eddie is tiring fast. Eddie's swept into the rapids too. When he comes into the calmer waters, rescuers manage to reach him. Further down, they grab Ken.
I started thinking to myself, you're going to die here, man. You better make, either you're going to go under again or you're going to die here.
Thanks to the persistence of the rescuers, they both come through the ordeal unharmed. Our next great escape was another of those call-outs that really tests the fire service's ability to improvise. After dealing with floods, fires and wrecked cars, this emergency was a one-off. Take a look at this. This Appaloosa horse is in a bad way. She lost her footing and fell down the steep bank and is now firmly wedged under a fallen tree in the river. As firemen figure out what to do, the horse, Kachina, seems to know they're trying to help. She was discovered by her owner, Gary Siegel, who's getting increasingly worried.
Number one, we were very concerned that she was going to be hurt, stuck in the tree the way she was. And number two, we both agreed that there was no way that we could get her out of there with just the two of us. So the decision was made right then and there, 911, call the fire department.
A pulley system is rigged up, with one end tied to a tree and the other to the horse.
Grab the horse's ears. She might be going into shock.
Next, they cut away at the branches that are pinning her down. They're reluctant to use a chainsaw in case it scares the horse, but decide they have no choice. Kachina stays calm. Then they dig her out of the mud with their bare hands. Sensing freedom, she kicks her way clear and crashes into the fast-flowing river.
Let up! You're choking her! Let it go! Let's go down there!
Kachina thrashes around, but she's hardly any strength left.
With 4 firemen and my wrangler Dave hanging on to her for dear life, both hers and theirs, trying to keep her head above water so she didn't drown. And in the meantime, she's trying to get up on her feet. She can't get any purchase with her feet, and she's flailing around, not trying to hurt anybody, but just trying to get up. The firemen are trying to stay out of the way of her feet, and yet they're trying to get her over towards where we were on the embankment so that we could help her out.
One last superhuman effort, and she's back on dry land, safe. It's been 3 hours, and the mare is cold and exhausted. But she's soon back on her feet, fully recovered, and enjoying her newfound star status.
Everybody's been so nice to her. She's probably had about 100 pounds of carrots in the last few weeks. And she gets lots of TLC. People come out here to see her regularly.
But Gary's hoping her adventures start and end right here.
No, sweetie. You can't eat the camera.
Still to come on Great Escapes, a remarkable tale of puppy love. The trucker who took a turn for the worse, and out cold in the hot seat. What went wrong? Find out after the break. Welcome back to a disaster in the making. The crowd watched, stunned, as Norman Wilding's car lurches from one thunderous crash to another. In the driving seat, Norman's out cold. When he eventually stops, the rescue team move in. At 200 miles an hour, he's in trouble from the off.
Before I hit the wall, it was a kind of a scary situation for me. The car launched off the line, pulling 4 Gs, and started to shake real bad. And at that point, I was kind of scared. The throttle was jammed, the butterflies wide open, so there was nothing I could do except ride it out. And the car, with the tyres spinning wildly, turned a sharp left into the wall, and ripped the body off the car and knocked me unconscious. And it was probably 3 or 4 months before I could walk again, but as soon as I could, then I was back out there driving.
Now how about this for a tricky situation? A truck driver has decided to try and drive his rig through a flooded Los Angeles River. But now he's stuck and in danger of being swept away by the current. The only way out is up.
We're looking at live pictures as a rescue attempt is being made, where a trucker has gotten his truck stuck in the middle of the LA River.
Truck driver Manuel Aldana is clinging onto his cab for dear life. Someone's thrown him a life belt, but there's no way he intends making a swim for it. When the rescue chopper arrives, it has to maneuver around high voltage power lines. It's incredibly dangerous. And to add to their problems, strong winds are blowing the winchman from side to side. Eventually, he lands on the bonnet and hooks up to Manuel. Slowly, they begin their ascent, the pilot keeping a careful eye on the power lines. As they pull away from danger, watching fire brigade officials can't praise them enough.
They had to hover their helicopter underneath some high voltage wires. Probably they were about 15, 20 feet underneath the high voltage wires, steadying the helicopters in the rain with the wind blowing and dropping a person into the water to pull this guy out. They did just a tremendous, tremendous job.
Winchman John England reveals they had to overcome another problem too.
Actually, I didn't speak any English, and I sort of did a little sign language real quick, told him to hang on, look at me, and I strapped him in, and away we went.
It was a scary journey, but Manuel's promised that from now on he'll stick to roads instead of rivers. All alone in a frozen wasteland, a hiker in big trouble. Hit by an avalanche, Joseph Solberg has fallen 1,500 feet down the mountain in a rush of snow and ice. He's lucky to survive the avalanche, but his problems are only just beginning. He's trapped on a steep and unstable slope with no way out. Rescuers can barely see him. After such a fall, they can only guess at his injuries. A medical helicopter scouts the area, trying to check on Joseph's condition. Just when hope is fading, another chopper arrives, carrying a local TV crew. They spot footprints in the snow. Joseph comes into view in the distance. The chopper hovers dangerously low and battles the crosswinds to stay level. It's a long, hard trek. The cameraman puts down his camera to help Joseph on board. Tired but unhurt, he's just glad to be out of there.
Well, I'm glad you're alive, pal. Hey, thank you so much. It was a ball buster, but it was worth it. Oh, sure. Oh, my word. Man, you guys are heroes.
Joseph tells of his remarkable escape from not one, but 2 avalanches.
Oh, yeah, they weren't small ones either. It's bad news. Got carried over a couple of cliffs. It didn't look like it was going to be bad at all. The place where we were ready to come on back down. Sure. And we kind of jumped onto an area really that looked fine. And all of a sudden it just avalanche. And I was the only guy that got caught in the avalanche.
You don't have any idea how close being dead you when you're up on top.
For the young man who so nearly didn't come in from the cold, it's great to be back home. Our next great escape takes us to the bowels of the earth for a word of warning about the hidden perils of plumbing. You'd be amazed at how often firefighters are called out to rescue pets that have gone down the drain. Have a look at this. The faint sounds of a kitten crying. The tiny stray has been down the drain for 3 days now. Emergency crews and council workers are called to help with the search. For hours, rescuers try everything they can think of.
We put food down on the ropes and the loops in hopes of attracting the cat in some way, but there's just no way to get the cat.
Sunset on day 4, and still they're no nearer. Next morning, the search goes on. Council workers think they know where the kitten is. They cut away a downpipe and pull up the drain covers. But they're too late. The kitten has fallen 40 feet into a storm drain in the street below. Desperate measures are called for. They're going to try and flush the kitten out. They just hope they don't drown it. In safe hands at last, one very soggy moggy.
I can't even tell you. It's just been a long wait. I've been here since 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon trying to get this cat, and it's just...
I feel good. The cat's still alive. The cat got his life. Just a little wet, scared, but it's all right.
From here, the tiny stray goes on to a new home and a new life. She's been howling for 4 days, non-stop. It's a sound the neighbours can't ignore. Angel wants help, and she's refusing to budge till she gets it. Somehow, her 4 puppies have fallen down into the sewer system. A neighbour alerts the authorities and help arrives. But finding the pups is easier said than done.
Let's go down here and look.
They could be anywhere. The whole street might have to be ripped up. 2 workmen volunteered to go down the manhole, and they disappear for hours. After struggling through 250 feet of sewer pipes, success.
Oh. All righty. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. Relax. I know.
There was more or less like in one spot. If only they were able, there was a manhole accessible, then it can be easy to get out.
They've been crying since Friday to get out, so they were just happy to see somebody, I'm sure.
A quick wash and brush up, and they're soon reunited with Mum. Angel's 4-day vigil has paid off.
Stay. Here, you take care of babies. You take care of babies.
It's not long before the pups are up to their old tricks again. As for Angel, she's awarded the city's #1 dog tag, a top dog with a long line of admirers. Happy families. And that's it for now. I'll be back with more Great Escapes next week. Till then, be safe. Bye-bye.